Welcome again to another edition of the Coach Godwin Show. I am your host, Coach Koran Godwin, all-time leading scorer of the University of North Florida, also author of that great new book, Everyone Hates a Ball Hog, but They All Love a Score. Please log on to jumpstarthoops.com. Any email questions that you have, please send them to Coach Godwin at jumpstart33.com, and that's Coach Godwin at jumpstart33.com. Today we have another interesting email question. We get a lot of great questions from all across the world. This one is coming from Ireland. Adam says, I am a shooting guard with good ability. I'm playing at a high level and performing well, but my role on the team has ultimately become the sixth man. I'm working hard so that I can eventually become the starter, but can you give me some tips on becoming a better sixth man? This is a great question because not many kids actually want to become a better sixth man. Everyone really wants to become that starter, and rightfully so. It's a competitive game, so you want to be number one. But I'm going to give a couple of tips that will help Adam and also help you guys out there that are coming off the bench so you can provide a spark for the team. I think number one, you can't get caught up in the if I'm not a starter, I may not be as good theory. A lot of time as a coach, I like that sixth guy to be the guy that provided a spark for the team. If you look at guys like Manu Ginobili, Lamar Odom, Jason Terry, I mean these guys are some of the best scorers and sparks for their respective teams. But they were all six men, and they all contributed, to championships. I mean, just look at last year. I mean, Lamar Odom could have been a starter, but when Andrew Bynum became the starter, Phil Jackson's call, he wanted Lamar to come off the bench to provide that spark. So just because you're the sixth man doesn't mean you're not as good. Number two, you have to understand the role of the sixth man. And as a coach, one of the things I used to look at, especially with that sixth man position, is who's being consistent. You have to be able to put your fingerprints on the game, meaning that after the game, when I'm looking at your numbers, whatever your role may be, maybe you're an offensive threat, maybe you're a guy that provides some defense. Well, I'm going to look at those intangibles, and I'm going to see how consistent you are at whatever you do. My most recent team, my sixth man was a scorer. I had a great jump shot. So a lot of times, I would evaluate his performance on how well he brought us back or pushed the lead to the next level. That was his way of putting his fingerprints on the game. I had other players that would come in and provide defense. So I wanted to see how many turnovers we forced the offense into. I wanted to see how many steals he got. I wanted to see how many rebounds he got. So that's the role of the sixth man, is to make sure you put your fingerprints on the game. So whatever it is you do well, you have to do it consistently. And the coach is going to consistently put you in the game because he knows what he's getting off the bench. Number three, and this is very, very important, because a lot of sixth men think they should be starters, of course. And a lot of times they're just as good as a starter, if not better than the starters. But to just alleviate them some of that decision-making process from the coach, I would say go head-to-head with whatever guy is in your position. So if you're a two guard and you usually, you're the sixth man and you usually sub out the two guard and come in and play, well, then during practice, you should be going head-to-head with this guy. I mean, that's the only way for the coach to see you in action and see actually who's better. So I would say go head-to-head with whoever's in your position. And a lot of times the sixth man is the lead man on that second team. Well, be that lead man. Be that voice of leadership. Make sure you're bringing the guys together. And make sure that sometimes, you're even taking out the winning team. In high school and in college, you have your first team and your second team. And a lot of times that sixth man will end up on that second team. Well, just make sure that you're in that leadership role and you get a couple of victories on the leading team. And that will help the coach as far as his starting five and strategy for the game. Because going head-to-head with the guy that's in your position is only going to make both of you better. Number two, you get to respect other starters. I know a lot of times the starters, whenever I used to be starting in the game, the coach would sub a guy in and you look right away. And sometimes you would sigh because you may not want this guy coming in the game because you don't believe in his talents. But other times you say, okay, yeah, put that guy in because I know this guy is going to work just as hard as the starters. So make sure you're working hard, make sure you're competing, and you get the respect of those starters. And I guarantee you, you will end up in a rotation with them. Number three, um, you may become that starter. I mean, if you're going head to head every single day, and you got the respect of the guys, it's just a matter of time before you're in that role. And don't look at starting. Look at the minutes played. Because a lot of times my sixth man may have got more minutes than the guy that was starting ahead of him. Just because he got it going that night, or just because, like I stated before, his fingerprints were all over the game. So make sure you work hard. Number one, the first tip I said is don't get caught up in the if I'm not a starter, I may not be as good theory. All right, you're just as good. Number two, know the role, know your role, know what the coach expects from you, because there's a reason why you're the sixth man. Defense, offense, define that. Let him tell you what exactly it is that gets you into the game, so you can consistently focus on that and get better. Number three, go head to head with the starters and who is ever in your position, night in and night out. Take it upon yourself to defend the best guy. Just separate yourself from the competition. And the last tip is always believe in yourself. It doesn't matter if you start off on the bench. I mean, there have been plenty of legends in the game that just never started for whatever reason. Team chemistry, the lineup, it doesn't mean you're not as good as the guy in front of you. It just may be a matchup thing, Maybe you're a tweener and you have a guy that's starting that's a little bit taller than you are. Or maybe this guy likes to get in foul trouble a lot, so they have you coming right behind him. So never think that just because you're sixth man, you're not as good. So great question from Adam from Ireland. I look forward to more of your questions. Like I said before, email him to Coach Godwin at jumpstart33.com and log on to the site. You get that book, Everyone Hates a Ball Hog, but They All Love a Scorer. Until next time, God first, Godspeed.